This is a Grit Talk. My name is Chip Rossi, and I'm here to answer 7 questions. All right, so I've taken some time to write down some thoughts that I want to share with you this morning. So the first question, what have you done yet? What have you not done yet that you would like to be part of your story or included in your eulogy? Now, I would like to think that I've positively impacted people that I've worked with professionally and on the various community-based organizations that I've had the privilege to serve. I also hope that the work that we have done together has helped to improve the quality of life for those we serve and will impact generations of families long after I've left this earth. Simply put, I hope that people would say he cared and he helped to make our community a better place. What I can confidently tell you is there's more to come as my story is still being written. So question 2, how has failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? And do you have a favorite failure? Now I'm going to share with you 3 examples from different periods of my life and phases of my life that have influenced how I approach things today. The first lesson learned is around asking questions to understand and to speak up. Now we're going to go back 40 years. I can remember our high school playoff game my senior year. It was a football game my senior year. I was the quarterback for William Penn High School. Any Colonials out there? And we were playing Cape Henlopen at Cape Henlopen High School. We had 1st and goal from the 2 late in the game. So 1st and goal from the 2 late in the game. And we needed a touchdown to tie the game. And at that point, if we scored a touchdown, perhaps it sends us to the state championship game for a chance at a three-peat. We couldn't punch it in to tie the game, 1st and goal from the 2. I remember the play call to this day. As I was the quarterback calling the play in the huddle. The play call was flank right, lookout curl. It may not mean anything to you, but that's the play call. Flank right, lookout curl. Now look, here's the key point. We never ran that play throughout the season. It was always flank right, jet right, lookout curl. Now the jet right, it means that a running back is just coming across in motion. We called that play twice, on 3rd down and the same play on 4th down. And each time I called flank right, jet right, lookout curl versus flank right, lookout curl. I now know why we didn't want the jet motion. But I didn't have the courage at that point to ask my coach at the time, during the timeout we took between 3rd and 4th downs, to say, why are we doing this? If I would have better understood why and what he was thinking. And perhaps history would have been rewritten. You can clearly see that it sticks with me to this day. You know, if you're an athlete, you remember when you win, you remember the joy. There's joy in winning with your team. You really don't remember specific plays. You just remember that experience, the work you did as a team to accomplish something special. But with a loss, you remember the details. You remember the specifics because you're asking yourself, what could I have done differently that would have driven a different outcome? But here's the deal. Full disclosure. Newark High School won the state championship that year. And the week before, they crushed us. I think it was 35-0. So chances are we wouldn't have had a three-peat, but we would have had a shot. And if that's not enough, that it sticks with me to this day, every time I go to Lewis, I have the opportunity to pass by Cape Henlopen High School. And you can imagine what I'm thinking about every time I pass by Cape Henlopen High School. My kids can tell you that. My wife can tell you that as well. Second lesson learned, be prepared for the discussion and do a little homework. Now, in the audience today is actually one of my fraternity brothers. He doesn't know I was going to share this, but I'm going to share this. But my college roommate and I were both running for president of our fraternity and he won the election. And one of the primary reasons he won the election was he was better prepared. He did his homework. He spoke to the current president to understand the role and the challenges that he was facing. He got feedback from the brothers in the fraternity around what was working and what was not. I didn't do any of the due diligence at that point. None of it. I blew it. It taught me, back then, again, 35 years, it taught me to be prepared for discussions. Do a little homework. Do a little due diligence and seek input from those involved in the process. Now, to this day, my roommate and I are great friends. We were in both one another's weddings. And in fact, this weekend, I'm going to see him as we're doing lunch together with the group. The third thing I'd share with you around a failure is be prepared when presenting. And what are your key messages? And rehearse. And also, be prepared to adjust if you're given less time, because not everything runs on time, and you may get squeezed. I can remember presenting to the management team at MBNA and the board at Bank of America. At MBNA, I just went blank during the presentation, and I cut it short. I didn't cover all my key points. I didn't recap my key takeaways, and it just felt awkward to me. Perhaps others didn't notice, but I can tell you I sure did. I needed to have notes, and I should have rehearsed more so that I was prepared. And at Bank of America, there was a change that occurred during the meeting where my time was reduced from 15 minutes to 5 minutes to share my thoughts. And the lesson learned there was I needed to be prepared with key messages that I wanted the board to hear. Rather, I just stated nothing else to add because I knew I couldn't cover everything in the 5 minutes. And as a second line risk partner, I needed to provide my independent view to the board. Clearly, what I would say to you is, I think I've survived those things. I'm here with you today. But I've learned from each one of these experiences in different phases of my life. And I'm better because of these bumps in the road that I experienced. So the third question is, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? Now, there's a few things that I'd like to share with you that I'm working on. The first is around improving my health and wellness. I'm retired now. It's a blessing. And I'm able to walk 4 to 5 times a week for 4 to 5 miles. And it really just gives me the time to clear my mind, think, or just listen to music. And occasionally while I'm out and about, it's time to make some quick follow-up calls that I need to make or reach out to a friend or colleague that I haven't spoken with in some time, but it's my time. The second is to be a better listener. As some of you probably know, I am a very passionate person. And sometimes my passion can lead to a tone of voice that might come across as being intense or frustrated, which may cause people to not fully express themselves. That's never been my intention. That being said, I'm working on just listening to my body. So what do I mean? When I feel anxiety level and I feel it increasing, that's when I know I've got to take a deep breath so that I'm able to, and here's the key, continue to actively listen to what's being said. It's hard to do in the heat of the moment. However, slowing it down, breathing, leads to a better outcome. Now, the third thing is communication, and communication with those who are important in your life. As I said, I'm recently retired, and my wife and I meet regularly to review our calendars. We meet at least once a week, and we spend 30 minutes or so. We're checking what we each have and what we want to accomplish for the week. That's really important because things that are important to me, she has things that are important to her, and we're trying to strike that balance and accomplish all that we need to accomplish together. And then the other piece is now I'm checking in with friends that I haven't spoken with in some time. We just had our 40th high school reunion a little over a month and a half ago. And on Monday, this coming Monday, a group of my football teammates, we're getting together. We hadn't done that in decades, and we're going to do that, which is great. And then this weekend, a group of 12 to 15 of my fraternity brothers and I from 35 years ago, we're getting together and having lunch together. So just some things that we're trying to do just to reconnect at this point. So those are the three things. Question 4. What activities make you lose track of time? So I'm going to share with you two things. The first of which is just attending or watching a sporting event and doing it with friends. You know, you just get lost in the moment. You get the opportunity to experience the highest of highs or perhaps the lowest of lows, but you know, time just flies by when you're there in the moment. The other one is at the beach. You know, you could be at the beach. Just imagine a sunny day and you're just sitting on your chair, just taking it all in, whether you're people watching, you go for a walk, you go out in the water and you just kind of just hang out there to take a dip. You're listening to music, or you're taking a rest, you're sleeping, or just sipping on a cold beverage of your choice. Any of that, right? It's just really nice, and time just flies by, and you lose track of time. It's easy to do that. So those are two different ways that, you know, activities that help me lose time. So question 5, what book do you most often give or recommend, and how has that book influenced you? Now, let me first start. I am not a big reader of books. I'm not. However, I want to share one of my favorite books with you. It's the book Good to Great. Some of you may have heard of it, by Jim Collins. And I also had the opportunity to hear Jim Collins speak about the content of the book. Of note for me was a concept called the flywheel effect. And it's about momentum. It's about people pushing in the same direction because they buy in and they believe in the purpose or the mission of the company, of the nonprofit, or the work, the team, whatever the team's working to. They believe in the purpose, in the mission. It's really not about a single breakthrough event. It's about all of those cumulative impact of those activities that are aligned to that mission that helps to start the flywheel. And if you know about a flywheel, right, it takes a while. You got to push hard to get it moving. But once you get it moving and you get some momentum, it eventually starts to just go on its own. And that's what this was about. It's about all those little things and everybody swimming in the same direction, aligned around a common purpose or belief to get things heading in the same direction. Now look, when I decided to, I'm going to share this story with you. When I decided to stay with Bank of America, when it acquired MBNA back in 2006, the company had a purpose and a mission to be the most admired company in the world. Now here's the problem. It was all about us. Yet, when our CEO took over, Brian Moynihan, in 2010, it changed. The purpose changed. It changed to be about our clients. The focus was, how can we help our clients make financial lives better? How can we help them accomplish their financial objectives? Now, not only would our clients benefit, but the communities that the clients are a part of would benefit, our employees would benefit, they're going to feel great about that, and the shareholders are going to benefit as well. I can tell you, 200,000 people, we all rallied around that purpose because it wasn't about us. It was about the clients we had the opportunity to serve. And as a result, since that time, we've been helping clients, the communities, and our teammates achieve their goals. And in the end, the shareholder is benefiting. So that flywheel concept is important. And then the second one from the book was around complacency, and it discusses complacency, and it just talks about the importance of avoiding complacency and striving to constantly raise the bar. I'm a firm believer in no matter what you're doing, whether it's athletics, it's at a company, it's working in a nonprofit, whatever it might be, you're trying to get healthy. I'm a firm believer that if you're not getting better, then you're getting worse. Why is that? Well, because the competition can pass you by, or that gap that you had on the competition, it's starting to narrow. So, just constantly raise the bar. And those are two things that I learned and gained from the book that stick with me today. And I'd encourage you to take some time if you haven't read it. So question 6, what have you purchased or been given in the last year valued under $200 that has most positively impacted your life? All right, so we're going to start. I'm a former athlete, and with that comes I'm superstitious. So I played football, and in playing football, one of the routines was I got dressed the same. Left foot, right foot, socks, that thing. And I listened to the same soundtrack before every game. That's what I did. And in baseball, I was a baseball player. And, before every at-bat started and in between every pitch, I did the same thing. It's just superstitious. That's what I did. Now, fast forward today. I have a gift that my youngest daughter, gave me for my birthday in March of 2024. I have it on my wrist. It is this Eagles Apple Watch band. So, for you Eagles fans, since that time, a Super Bowl victory later, 8-5 start, I know we have opportunity. It's not too shabby, though. We're still first in the NFC East. Now, full disclosure, also on Saturdays this year, after an 0-2 start, I received a Notre Dame watch band. We were 10-0, as I wore it every week since the 0-2 start. Now you can imagine now it's on the shelf, right? Because we didn't make the CFPB. And now I've fully transitioned back to the Birds watch band. And I'm hopeful that the results start to improve, although Monday night, there was some marked improvement, but we got a little ways to go. We'll see. More to come on that one, right? All right, so question 7. If you could broadcast a message to everyone in the world, knowing it would be received and remembered, what would it be? So I have a few things I just want to share with you. First of all, I'm reminded of a quote that's been attributed to Teddy Roosevelt. And it's one of my favorite quotes, and it's, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The message to me was this: leadership matters and relationships matter. Take the time to get to know the people you work with on a personal level and understand who they are inside of work and outside of work. What's important to them? Because they're all interconnected, inside and outside of work. Relationships are built on trust, and trust is built over time. So invest the time in building strong relationships. It will lead to a willingness to do more when more is necessary, and a willingness to share their thoughts, the good with the bad, with you when you ask them, because you've earned their trust. I also believe that leadership matters. And remember this, that people are watching what you do all the time and what you say all the time. They take what you say literally. So, start with work hard. Now, some of you know, my dad was a bricklayer. And he got up every single day, regardless of the weather, the heat, the cold, every single day to support our family. And he was a role model for me. He exemplified what it meant to work hard. And I could tell you, as a bricklayer, that work was hard. I know it was hard because he had me out there mixing cement in the heat of the summer. And while the money was nice, that was when he convinced me that this is not something that I should do for a living. And this is why I need to graduate from high school and go get a college education. Now, mind you, my dad dropped out of high school in 9th grade. although he did get his GED later in life. So, along with working hard, think about this. Be kind and be honest. You know, my mom exemplified those things every single day. She was the steady hand and the rock that consistently reinforced the attributes of kindness and honesty in all that she did. And the last thing I'd say is constantly raise the bar. Raise the bar, because the company you're employed by, the community you're a part of, and our country, now more than ever, are counting on each of us to bring the best version of ourselves to whatever we're doing every single day. So just a couple things I'd say, which is focus on what you can control. Be on time. Be prepared and ask questions. Be positive. And be committed and work hard. I'm reminded of a former leader that I worked with that many of you may know, Charlie Cawley. And one of the things he would always say to us is, I'm reminded that the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. So you got to work hard to earn it. You know, as you think about those things, I'm reminded of the words of an astute scholar, Dr. Seuss. To the world, you may be a person, but to the person, you may be the world. So to recap, what I want all of you to remember, and people that are listening to this to remember, is that relationships matter and leadership matters. Invest in relationships and earn the trust of the people you're working with. It's so important in today's society for us to understand our differences and to find areas of common ground so that we can work together to improve the quality of life for others. I want to thank you all for being here, and thanks to Bill and Evan and the entire team here at Theater N for this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with each of you. I hope you take something away here, and I wish you all the best and a safe and happy holiday season. And on that note, I'll head over to the anvil and we'll close it out.